Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing really well. So today I am back to announce something very, very exciting. You might remember that last March myself and Brittany over at Literarily Smitten hosted the Her-Storyathon, where we read books all to do with women in history, because March is Women's History Month. And we basically just wanted to have a read along to celebrate that, to commemorate that. And we had such a great time reading about different amazing women of history, and so we wanted to do it again. This read along will be taking place for the entire month of March, so from the 1st to the 31st. And so the challenge, should you choose to accept it, is actually pretty simple. In order to participate in the Her-Storyathon, you just need to read just one book that is in some way to do with a woman who actually existed in the past, and that can be fiction or non-fiction. It doesn't matter which one you go for. There have been plenty of fantastic fiction offerings that actually detail the lives of actual women who existed in the past. We only wanted to have that one specification in order to open it up to everybody, but we do have separate challenges, separate prompts that could also just make it a little bit more fun and a little bit more of a challenge. We have 9 prompts that we've chosen. We've kept some from last year, but we've also edited them a little bit to make it all the more interesting. And we should have a little graphic here that Brittany made. The first prompt is to read about a woman from a different continent to the one that you are currently living in. Last year it was a different country. This year, taking it out a little bit further and saying, read about a woman from a different continent. Our second prompt last year was to read about a woman who was not titled, so generally somebody who would have been working class, middle class, wasn't a princess, wasn't a lady, a duchess, a queen. For this year, we've completely turned it on its head, and we actually do want you to read about somebody who was a member of royalty or the nobility. I think our train of thought for this one was, you know, have the past events of this year made you think about how messed up royalty or nobility is? Well, why don't you check out some of the royalty and nobility from the past, because they were even more wild. I feel like in future years of doing Her-Storyathon we will just be batting between doing non-titled and titled ladies, just to mix it up a little bit. The third challenge is to read about a group of women. Now this could mean different things, whether these women were like purposely working together as part of a team, whether they were thrust together for circumstances beyond their control, or maybe it's just that the author of the book looked at a bunch of women and thought, okay, I'm going to group them together in this way. Whatever group of women means to you, you can apply this to this prompt. Prompt number 4 is to read letters, essays, diaries, or the memoir of a woman from history. This is one that's carried over from last year. We just quite like the multimedia aspect of this, rather than just reading something that is like straight prose fiction or just a straightforward biography. Getting a chance to read not just about a woman, but actually hearing about a woman in her own words. Prompt number 5 is to read about a bad woman, and so to read a book about a woman who was deemed bad or villainous even in their day. It may be that this woman in present day is actually acknowledged as just somebody who rebelled against convention, and actually they were unfairly villainized in their day. Think about somebody like Mary Wollstonecraft, who was very scandalous for her behaviour in her day, but now we think of as being pretty great. Or maybe they were just downright evil, and even today we would criticise the things that they did. For example, like Elizabeth Bathory. Is that how you say her name? Either way, if you believe what people said that she did, pretty evil stuff. Either way, it will count for this prompt. Another prompt that we're carrying over from last time is to read about underrepresented women. So to read a book about a woman who is from an underrepresented or marginalised group. So in that would encompass women of colour, LGBTQ+, women who are neurodiverse, or maybe living with a disability. This is a prompt that me and Brittany feel quite strongly is one that we should repeat every year, because as myself, as somebody who, you know, is white, straight, cis, able-bodied, like middle-class woman living in England, I feel like it's kind of important that I should be reading about perspectives other than my own. And I just think that's important. Prompt number 7 is to read about a woman who lived pre the Enlightenment. So roughly for this, obviously there'll probably be a lot of criticism on the parameters I put for this, but roughly somebody who lived pre 1700. Last year the prompt was to read about somebody who lived pre-1800. I wanted to push it back a little bit further. I think maybe in future years we might even be stretching it out to particularly you should be focusing on like ancient women or very specific on different time periods, but for now keeping it fairly open. But you know, the early modernist in me just really wanted to kind of promote early modern women and to at least get the possibility of talking about them in there. But you know, of the very many women who lived in all the different time periods pre-1700, read about one of them. The final 2 prompts are to do with reading about women in different fields. Last year it was reading about women in STEM, and this year our 2 prompts are to read about women in the arts. So this could be literature, it could be art itself, music, theatre, film, dance, photography, anything to do with the arts. And then the final prompt is to read about women in the military. So to read about a woman who lived and worked either in or alongside an armed force. This could be for fairly recent conflicts, but it could also be, you know, talking about like Boudica fighting as leader of the Iceni tribe. And also important, I think, to highlight that working within the armed forces does not necessarily mean soldier or fighter, could also extend to military nurses, military lawyers. So many different possibilities that I actually hadn't considered before we started drilling into what this prompt would mean. So there we go, those are our 9 prompts. There is no obligation that you should read for all or any of these prompts. This is just to kind of add an extra challenge. If you read one book that is about a woman who lived in the past, then you have participated. A couple of fun little non-bookish challenges that we are including from last year are: number 1, to take a photo of yourself at a location where a famous woman of history either lived or interacted with, and number 2, to watch a film, a documentary, a TV show, or even listen to a podcast about a woman in history. And when you are tagging us on these, please remember to use the hashtag Her-Storyathon. I'm going to have linked down below our Storygraph challenge, which we've created for 2023. Do please feel free to join up and to fill out the different prompts as you read in March. I'm also going to include the playlist for last year as well as the playlist that we are going to have for this year. We're also going to have a couple of live streams as we did last year. Not confirmed on dates for those, but we will let you know as soon as possible, because one of these live streams is going to be discussing our group book, which I actually hadn't gotten on to talking about. This year, the group read is going to be Women vs. Hollywood by Helen, which I will admit I suggested because it was one that was on my physical TBR already, but just fit pretty well with the women in the arts prompt. It's also one that I know a couple of my friends have on their physical TBRs, and maybe this is a good incentive to get them to read it. I'm really excited about this group book. I'm really looking forward to reading it. Hello, editing Charlotte here, because literally just after I finished editing this video, I actually created an Instagram account for Her-Storyathon. It is just simply called Her-Storyathon, so I will put the link below, and please follow it. I'm hoping that I've included all the information that I wanted to here. I will leave down below any other information that I find alongside Brittany's channel as well, where she will have also posted an announcement video for this challenge. And yeah, I just hope that you're excited as we are. I really loved doing Her-Storyathon last year. It was a definite highlight of 2022. And yeah, just looking forward to being able to read and discuss with you about these fantastic women of history. Do let me know about any books that you're thinking about reading for the Her-Storyathon, alongside anything that you read last year and would recommend. I would love to hear from you. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.